Alright everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. So today I wanted to talk about Moris. More specifically, the PTB change they did a while ago with the Unbreakable change. I won't ever bring up Unbreakable again, I promise. Anyways, during that change they also had a experiment with Moris where if all survivors were on the ground, the game went into an instant Mori. Now, a lot of people agreed this was a bad idea for several reasons. One, it encouraged the killer to just slug everyone as fast as possible, so killers like Nurse and Blight would just instantly slug everybody and just end the game in like 30 seconds. Two, it disincentivized killers for going for hooks because of how long they could take. And three, it meant that if the killer wanted to give hatch, which is often seen as like a kind of like a last ditch, like, okay, I won, here's the hatch kind of thing. And the killer wasn't able to because the game would instantly go into the Mori. However, many people have suggested this, and it is the simplest change, in my opinion, to this, and something that I think should be brought into the game's base kit. And we're going to talk about that right now. So I asked my community if they thought Cypress Moris, which is the offering, the yellow one that lets you kill the last survivor, should be base kit. Surprisingly, 90% said yes. This was about 200 votes. 90% said yes. While a small sample size, it's still demonstrably in favor of yes. And honestly speaking, I've been trying to rack my head around why wouldn't this be a good idea. So let's go into the pros, and then I'll bring up some of the cons. So the pros of this is, the biggest thing for me is it makes Moris actually part of the game. Moris are an animation that the developers and creators and designers work very, very, very hard on, that for some reason aren't a inherent base part of the game. There's no base Mori mechanic outside of Pyramid Head and Sadako. They're really the only two that have it. In fact, they both have different Moris for this specifically, which is very strange when you really think about it. But apart from the red, green, and yellow offerings, you also have Devour, Hope, and Rancor, and there's probably something else I'm missing that someone will tell me. But those are the main ones that everyone knows about. And they're not inherently part of the game, which is, once again, very strange considering how much work goes into these. Because most people tend to bring blood point offerings. There's really no point into bringing Moris other than just to do it. And even then, most people will bring the red one instead of the yellow or green, because green lets you do it to one person, the yellow lets you do it to the last person. It's kind of like a coup de grace kind of thing. So I think adding base kit in some way, adding just the Cypress so you can do it to the last person. Now, when I say the last person, that does mean the other three people are dead or gone. So it would literally be the last person you find. So what are the other pros to this would mean that if a killer finds a survivor, the last survivor alive, they're in a comp corner somewhere, and the survivor has buckle up, or not buckle up, boil over, power struggle, flip-flop, anything like that. I apologize, I'm yawning. And if they have anything like that, then they'll get off the shoulder and they'll just run back to the corner. This would prevent the killer from basically having to bleed out the survivor. Now, you could argue you could just let him go, but if the survivor just sits in the corner, they're just going to wait it out anyways. So this would let the killer just kind of kill them outright right there. So it would avoid that frustration. The other thing with this is it would also mean that the survivor can't just kind of bank on being the last person alive and keep doing that over and over again. Now, some of the cons, which I did just bring up, is, well, what if the last survivor alive does have these perks? Wouldn't this just invalidate them? I don't know about you guys, but honestly speaking, even when I'm playing Survivor as the last person alive, if I get found by the killer and they down me, I'm kind of expecting to lose right then and there. I've accepted my loss. Even if I have stuff to get out of it, it's just, I feel like it should just be counted as a loss at that point. He found me, I'm the last one alive. It really shouldn't be that much of a resistance. And once again, I think the big key thing with all of this is last alive. Because this would also mean if you're someone who's been hiding all match and you happen to get found by the killer as the last person, you don't have any of your other things to kind of get you out of that situation as if you were just trying to let your teammates die. Now, that's really the only con I can see to this. But even then, like I said, I feel like the killer has kind of earned it by killing the other three people. The other problems I've seen with it is, well, let's say everyone's injured, everyone exits the gates, and the killer hits the last person as they leave. They can just Mori them right then and there, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Once again, I think the killer earned it. You should have left way sooner and not waited for them. Oh, well, what if they were, like, right by the gate? Listen, there's a lot of what-ifs in this situation. But I think having it be a Mori that you can control, that being the key thing with this being a Cypher's Mori rather than just being, like, an instantly goes to a Mori, is it lets you have control over it. So if you want to give the survivor the hatch, you can. If you want to let them exit the gates, you can. It's not like the ones they did on the PTB where where it just instantly went to the animation and there was nothing anyone could do. People did not like that, and once again, it did encourage the killer to kind of just slug everybody out. This also requires everyone to be dead, which means, technically speaking, there might be one person you could kind of ignore the whole match, and that could be another issue with this, is that in theory the killer could just, I don't want to use the word tunnel because it's not if it's three different people, but focus on those three people and ignore that one, cough cough, the obsession, and just kill them, and then once they're at the obsession, the last person alive, down them, and then get the Mori, and then they don't have to worry about the 3 hook stages. That's the only other real issue I can see with this, but even then, I think this would be a much healthier gameplay loop than survivors going to a comp corner and bleeding themselves out, basically. The other issue I can see with this is maybe, possibly, is if there's 2 survivors left, then the killer can kind of slug one person and then go after the other person, put the last person on a hook, find them, and Mori them. Once again, I don't think this really does anything other than kind of expedite the process. Because it means if the killer gets to that last person, the last person can't just go hide in a corner somewhere to an unhookable spot and then just kind of wait it out, right? The killer could just Mori you right then and there and just end the game. That's why my suggestion is to make it, once again, the last kill, just as a coup de grace kind of moment, and to make Moris more of a baseline thing in the game. It's like I said, it's a shame that we get all of these cool Mori animations that I very rarely see. Now, speaking of Moris, what about Mori filters? Well, they have the devs haven't really talked about adding them in, but I do know some people want them. Should they be implemented? I don't see an issue with it. I know some crazy people are complaining about it, but whatever. Just make the screen flash to black while it's happening or something, and then move on with your day. The Mori isn't supposed to be like a fuck you. It's supposed to be like this cool little animation that happens that rewards the killer for getting you in a position to be Mori'd. That's all it's really there for. Whether it's from Devour Hope, Rancor, or bringing in the offerings. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think of Cypher's Mori being base kit. I really do think it's like a tiny little thing that it wouldn't cause too many issues with the game. It wouldn't. I don't think it would really cause any problems. If anything, I think it would just fix a few things. I don't think it's like it's this big, massive fix, but I think it would fix a few things. Particularly, like I said, making Moris more part of the base game, which is something I think has needed to happen for a while. Which is why during that PTB patch, I was actually kind of excited for the Mori idea, because much like the Unbreakable thing, which I won't get into again, it was a cool idea. It just needed to be kind of reiterated, revamped, and worked on again. And I guess I love y'all. Have a good one. And yeah, bye.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you, you moron.